welcome to Elets EV Dialogue that offers a unique opportunity for industry leaders, policymakers, and thought leaders to engage in a series of focused discussions on critical issues and opportunities shaping India's electric vehicle landscape. And today we are delighted to welcome Dr. Amitabh Saran, founder and CEO, Altigreen Propulsion Labs. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr.
Thank you so
Amitabh
much.
Saran has. I'll give a brief, introduction of yours to our audience here. So, Dr. Amitabh Saran has over 31 years of experience with an array of well-established institutions and startups. Through his career, he has focused on delivering innovative solutions to consumers based on contemporary and futuristic technologies. Passionate about clean energy and automobiles, Dr. Saran is founder, CEO of Altigreen Propulsion Labs based in Bangalore, which develops high-efficiency electric mobility solutions in last-mile transport for India and the emerging economies. A true embodiment of Made in India and Made for India, Altigreen has been designing, developing, testing, and manufacturing proprietary electric vans with e-commerce and FMCG companies using them across 120 cities and towns in India. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, sir, beginning with, we've read, and that you've spoken about the unique challenges of India's driving conditions. So, how does Altigreen's technology specifically addresses these challenges to make it suitable for commercial vehicles in India?
Right. You'll be happy and surprised to know that India started having EVs back in 1999. There was a four-wheel passenger car that had been launched in 1999. Full electric, did very well, was acquired by Mahindra in 2010. EVs are not new to this country. Why is it that the penetration of EVs has remained so low? Right? Globally, India is amongst the last few countries who are just getting there. I think it's got to do with a lot of it has got to do with the conditions of India. Fossil fuel, petrol, diesel, LPG, CNG have done a great job in dealing with the infrastructural issues of this country.
Right.
I say this not trying to belittle my country, because I love my country, but the practical and the reality on the ground is that India does have potholes, dust, pebbles, grime, waterlogging, overloading, unprofessional driving, all kinds of things. It's not like every person who gets into a car has gone to driving school, especially in the commercial vehicle world. And I've always said they start off as a chotu, wiping the truck or the three-wheeler, and they graduate to become a driver. So, considering that anything that would be considered abuse anywhere else in the world is a day-to-day scenario in the country, and petrol, diesel, LPG, CNG have done a great job. Anything that is looking to replace that technology is also supposed to be as good, and in fact has to be better, because you're taking people from a place of certainty that they've seen for the last 100 odd years to a land of uncertainty, electronics, battery, motor, don't know how it's going to work, right? So suddenly things have changed. So when you're moving them to something like this, it has to be even more rugged and better compared to what you exist today. I think that's where Altigreen saw a big white space, that a lot of the components that are needed to make our EVs were still being imported, and unfortunately continue to be imported even today. Altigreen started back in 2012, 2014. And our first focus was on building all the elements that make the electric vehicle: the motors, the controllers, the DC-DC hardware, the software stack, battery packs, everything. So we are, even before Atmanirbharta became a common word in India, we were amongst the first few guys who took that on ourselves to say that we will first make these components, and these components have to be designed for these kinds of abuse cases. The design criteria has to include this. Because overloading will be prevalent. So you make sure that when you're building your vehicle, it has to be able to withstand that. You can't reason with that guy and say, no boss, it's an EV, so please don't overload and don't carry so much. So I say, hey, it works this way. You have to ensure that you build a vehicle that can deal with it. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not being judgmental here. All I'm saying is this is the reality on the ground and you have to build something. And that's what we did. Take a lot of localization in India. In fact, Altigreen is amongst the first few companies in India that has about 93% domestic value add. If you exclude cells, India doesn't make cells, lithium-ion cells. If you exclude that, there's 93% domestic value add. We had to do a lot of innovation, which is why today Altigreen has 32 global patents granted. These patents are registered in the US, in Europe, in Australia, in South Asia, in Africa, in all these countries. So there is fundamental innovation. It takes time. It takes a lot of money. But if you do it right, you will finally be in a position to create something that works for this country.
Great. And I think of all the 32 patents that are there for Altigreen, you have been the co-inventor in I think all of them, right? If I am not wrong.
Yeah. People are kind. They allow my name on it. I don't say no.
Yeah. That's great, sir. That's great. And you have a PhD in computer science from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and you have published numerous papers in books of software engineering and distributed computing. So, as someone with experience in software startups and now in the EV domain, what was the inspiration to venture into the electrification, with Altigreen?
Yeah, amazing, and thank you for asking me this. A lot of people skip this question. So I have been interested in both the environment and automobiles, for a very long time. I'm talking about 2011. There was a report that had come out at that time that 1.3 million people, 2011, 1.3 million people were losing their lives early because of poor air quality. Then there was a parallel study that was done by IIT Kanpur, and they said that 25% of these deaths were related to road transport pollution. 2011, 2012, 25% of 1.3 million, that was about 3 lakh odd deaths. Today, by today I mean February of 2023, the Lancet report said that 2.6 million people, number is doubled, 2.6 million people lose their lives early in India alone because of poor air quality. Still that 25% remains, which means that 5 to 6 lakh people are dying because of road transport related pollution. Just keep it in perspective. 1 lakh people unfortunately lost their lives in COVID. There was a national lockdown. 1 lakh.
Right.
5 to 6 lakh every year have and will continue to lose their lives. I don't hear of any national lockdowns. I don't hear of any kind of adverse impact. Reality. Back in 2012, 2013, I'd been following this. I wanted good EVs to show up, global EVs to show up in India. I was in fact waiting for the Toyota Prius hybrid. I do believe very strongly that for passenger cars, personal vehicles, I do believe that hybrid would be a good solution instead of moving directly to EVs, because it does require a lot of charging infrastructure, etc. I was waiting for the hybrid. Now, Toyota introduced that hybrid in May or June of 2011 or 2012. Can you imagine, at a price point of 29 lakhs? I'm thinking, dude, 29 lakhs, it's a luxury car. How many cars like this would be sold in this country? And is it really going to make any impact on the ground? Obviously not.
Right.
That's what happens, people, this was my third startup. I had done 2 other startups. I'd exited through those for an acquisition. My last one was acquired by Yatra in 2011. Before that, I had been in TCS, Philips, also at NASA and Hewlett Packard. I'd seen it, and it was 2 companies had already been acquired. I said I'd take the plunge, literally changed gears, and decided, someone's got to do it, might as well be me. And the important thing, with entrepreneurs is that they know what it takes to create something. Creation from nothing, where you don't have a concept, you don't know where to start. That's what we're good at. It doesn't matter which domain. I don't have the domain expertise. Ask me, I I don't know what it takes to build an automobile. Sure, I didn't. But can I bring those people on board who are willing to do this? Can I convince them that this is the right thing to do? How do I convince people who are well settled in very, very good automobile companies of the world, and try to bring them and say, "Nahin, let's solve the problem for India and let's make it happen." That's where it requires these kinds of entrepreneurs. And the only thing that computer science did in the process was to make sure that software has always been the backbone of anything that we did in this company, whether it is decisions that we have to make. So we have a lot of software systems in place that allow us, including the fact that even though we are a tiny software, an automobile company, we do have SAP that ensures that, SAP is typically used in large companies, but we use it because it allows us to make sure that everything is, aligned, data integrity is, all the decisions that are made on the basis of data. And everything that we make for EVs by default spits out a lot of data. And that data, we do a lot of processing of that data in-house on our servers on the cloud. A lot of back-end work is done to ensure that we can constantly look at newer ways to add value to our customers, whether it's in the form of vehicle uptime, whether it's in the form of ensuring good efficiency of our vehicles, whether it's in the form of allowing our partner network to make something out of it. Like, for example, logistic companies, they get access to the data, right? And they do something with it. Financiers can get access to the data to see how the vehicles are being run. Are they running properly? Is there a downtime? All those kind of things. So I think that's where the computer science element went in. But it was largely driven as an entrepreneur, the mindset of an entrepreneur. And then, obviously, the motive and the sole vision was to help save lives. And that's always been the vision of Altigreen, to help save lives through, cleaning the environment, one car at a time. Saving the environment, saving lives is very important. We might not all be MBBS and PhDs, but everyone in the organization, top to bottom, the guy who's assembling my vehicle, they are all driven by that unique purpose. आज एक गाड़ी कम निकाली तो दो जान और problem. And hence we are driven by always that we're here to save lives. Of course, we help make cars also.
Absolutely. That's wonderful, sir. But you actually started way before the entire concept actually probably was accepted. So how have you seen this journey evolve? And in the current times, with the government mandate of 30 at the rate of 2030 being there, how do you see this mandate getting fulfilled?
Yeah, a lot has changed. You're absolutely right. A lot has changed in the entire process of us, from the 2012s to the 2024. Humongous change. And I'm not saying that from a perspective of government policies. Obviously, that has changed a lot. But in terms of mindset, in those days, it used to be, "Arey yaar, abhi to BS4, फिर BS5, फिर BS6, abhi to matlab, kahan yaar EV nahi ho paya." A lot of that kind of thing, it was always, something that was, okay, maybe going to happen after 2 decades, who knows, right? Well, abhi to ghar mein bijli nahi aa rahi. The usual thing that people say, "Arey yaar, it's so uncertain. We have UPSs in every home, UPSs driving ACs and fridges also. What are you talking about?" I think that today, over the last 12 years, has changed to, ye to hona hi hai. It's just a matter of time. You can't wish it away now. You can't say that, no, this is going to get reversed and we're going to come back for something. There might be step changes that happen. So some categories might go through hybrid before they reach full electric, but it's hybrid electric. It's not a petrol CNG hybrid. It's a hybrid electric. So I'm saying that if today you were to come out and say that I am going to be creating an automobile and it's not going to have a motor inside it, people are going to shun this away and say, "Sorry, boss, you don't have a motor." An electric motor has become absolutely mandatory in whatever shape, matter, or form under the hood of your vehicle. That is a massive change. Number two, EVs were always considered to be part of that luxury segment. Right. Very expensive cars. Oh, yeah, only those guys. The car goes by and you look at it, no sound, really good. I think companies like Altigreen help to change that perception. by saying that why should it be luxury? Why can't it be brought down to the lowest end of the pyramid? Think about the humble auto rickshaw guy, right? I mean, these guys pay 4 rupees a kilometer, right? Because they're driving a diesel vehicle. I've changed that to 92 paisa a kilometer. I'm giving 4 times the warranty they used to get out of it. Financing is identical to what they used to get. Vehicle build quality and ruggedness is similar, right? And all you're doing is you're driving a vehicle without any noise. You're not creating any pollution, and there is not a single vibration. So what's happening is driver fatigue is reducing, because of which the driver is able to drive even more. So not just that he's saving 3 rupees a kilometer by doing nothing, by not having to do anything special, just moving from a diesel vehicle to he's saving 3 rupees a kilometer. If you're driving 100 kilometers, you're saving 300 rupees a day. Multiply that by 25 days, 7,500 rupees is being saved by doing nothing. Just changing to 7,500, by the way, is a lot of money when you talk about the three-wheeler segment. It's almost 50% of their monthly earnings. It's a fact. And so that is the change, and they are also beginning to see the benefit. That is the change. So it's no longer a fickle, small e-rickshaw, nothing bad against it, but those were being imported from China, and somehow they were creating employment opportunities, replacement for manual rickshaws and all that. Perfectly all right. But these rugged, fast-moving ones, that are capable of doing everything similar and in fact a little better than their fossil fuel counterparts, do 2 thumbs up. Let's make it happen. We're going to accept. That change has also started happening. And with the electrification of India, there was a time when there was not enough electricity. Today, 99% of villages are electrified. Yeah. You're highly likely to find a 3-pin electric socket close to you than a petrol, diesel, LPG, CNG gas station. भाई वहाँ आपको जाने के लिए हो सकता है 2 किलोमीटर or 10 किलोमीटर जाना, depending on if you're living in a village. यहाँ तो turn around and you find a 3-pin socket. और क्या चाहिए यार? क्यों दिमाग लगा रहे? So commercial vehicles are transferring very, very quickly. Very, very quickly they are, transitioning to EVs because they see a benefit, a total cost of ownership benefit, and that's something that is going to be prevalent. I think people have accepted it. Acha, ye ho jayega. In different segments, the results will be different. For example, in passenger cars, like I'm saying, you're not driving a fixed number of kilometers every day. You're driving 34 kilometers. On average, a passenger vehicle drives 34 kilometers a day across India, weekdays, weeknights, weekends, all put together, average, statistically, just 34 kilometers. You'll see enough people crying out loud saying that, no, I need a car that can give 350, 400 kilometer range. Bhai, kya karoge lenge? Charging once in 10 days, charge once in 2 days, 3 days. No. I may need to drive somewhere. Where do you drive? In the last 1 year, how many long drives have you taken? वो नहीं. लेकिन चाहिए आज. That becomes a problem. And hence I said that sometimes hybrid in certain use cases might make sense, where range anxiety to a person sitting inside is big because your use case is varied. But where your use case is fixed, and commercial vehicles use case is pretty much well defined. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much well defined. You ask 3-wheeler guys, कितना चलाते हो? 100, 90, 100, 110. No one is going to say 250 चलाता हूँ. नहीं बोलेगा. Yeah, he needs. Even though there's abundant availability of petrol, diesel, LPG, CNG. So that's why there's some categories which will do it and some not, which is why people swear by it. We chose 3-wheelers because this was the bottom end of the pyramid. We do believe that, I strongly believe, that 3 wheels has a lot of potential in India and the emerging markets. See, our focus is only India and the emerging markets of South Asia because of it. Very few companies do real R&D for this geography. Everyone does R&D for the globe, right? Japan, China, Europe, US. And then an offshoot of that is given to this part of the world. Mm-hmm. We want to focus on building solutions for this part of the world. Right. I believe strongly that 3 wheels will have a fairly compelling value proposition. three wheels and auto rickshaw become synonymous. I believe that is going to change. I very strongly believe that you'll find newer configuration of three wheels. Who says that क्यों इतनी बुद्धि limited है? Maybe two wheels in front, one wheel behind. I'm not saying we'll make passenger cars here. Don't people think ये नहीं करो passenger car no? Right? Lots of things. There are newer use cases coming up. Where was the use case of this 10-minute delivery? Was there ever this use case? The only use case used to be you call up Simla store and say, "Bhai, please, yaar, dahi bhej dena yaar, please, dahi khatam ho gaya, please, abhi bhej de yaar." That used to be the 10-minute thing, right? But now it's become like, I want photocopying. That is delivered in 10 minutes. Read a printout. It's delivered in 10 minutes. The use case, and everything requires delivery, and everything requires a vehicle. It's all commercial. I'm just pointing out a few things. Mark my words, things are going to change dramatically.
Brilliant, sir. Brilliant. So, just hearing your conversation. So, do you think range anxiety is more probably, in the non-commercial vehicle segment? Because, of course, as you mentioned, the use case, the very different, scenario. So, commercial vehicle segment is sorted when it comes to this range anxiety.
Yes. Yeah. So, first of all, most commercial vehicles for last mile. So, you have a long haul. You have certain fixed paths. So long haul might be Chennai, Delhi. There's long haul trucks that are going. Then there are regional routes. Bangalore, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. There are fixed routes that people take. And then there is last mile transport. We are focused on last mile transport, which is intra-city, within the city.
Okay.
Passenger vehicles have this unique problem that it's not just intra-city, but it can be anywhere. So you are not in the long haul, heavy commercial vehicles. You are not in the regional routes. You are in the anywhere to anywhere route. So मेरे को तो olive ridley turtles देखने के लिए वहाँ जाना है. अब कर लो भाई, जाना है जाना. So there will always be range anxiety because you don't know. You don't know about the roads. You don't know about the condition of the road, how long it is going to take, whether something is going to be closed, something is going to be open, whether there's going to be a rest stop. You're just stranded. And hence, because the use case is very different for personal vehicles, there will continue to be a certain amount of range anxiety. Right? Commercial vehicles, on the other hand, well-defined use cases. You have hubs; they can stop there. There are passenger vehicles. There are these hubs made by the 3PLs, the third-party logistic providers. Logistic companies have these hubs where drivers stop. It's a well-defined thing. It's not anywhere to anywhere. And hence, commercial vehicles see the benefit. Now, in the case of passenger vehicles, like I said, you drive 34 kilometers a day. Typically, sometimes once a year, twice a year, you might take a long drive, 300 kilometers. What is the TCO benefit you're getting? Are you really saving a lot of money? For a person who's buying a 15 lakh rupee car, saving 2,000 rupees a month, 3,000 rupees a month. Yeah, you spend that much when you go and watch a movie. Right? If you really want to take that headache of looking for this charging light nahi aayi, who knows what, right? And hence, because there is no commercial benefit for those people who are not driving long distances constantly, that again becomes another one of those factors that say, we'll see it, maybe as a second car, maybe as a third car, not as a primary car. That's what is happening today. And I feel strongly that it is likely that in the personal vehicle space, I do feel hybrids may be a transition that is required. But other than that, for commercial vehicles, benefits are clear, use cases are clear. I think newer formats of vehicles is something that is going to be there. It's not going to be the one size fits all. भाई गाड़ी तो यही है. आपको जैसे चलाना आप चला लीजिए. वो अब नहीं हो. People are going to be very specific. No, I drive only 60 kilometers. This is my use case. I deliver only milk. I need a vehicle for that. Why should I pay for that extra battery, which is going to be 40,000, 80,000 rupees more? I don't want that. Why I'm saying this is because we had to do it. We kept on pushing it out for 2 years. And then we finally said, no man, this use case is developing. Just got to do it. Give them a cheaper vehicle. होता है,
Right.
होता है, yeah.
Right. So, sir, Altigreen is aiming for carbon-free transportation. So, could you outline some specific targets or milestones that the company has set to actually achieve this goal?
Yeah, I mean, we want 100%. So we started with three wheels, like I said. So we want 100% of three-wheelers to be converted to electric by 2030. And by that, I mean that every new three-wheeler that is sold 2030 onwards is going to be only electric.
Right.
I am certain that we might be able to achieve that number before that. Now, it's not only going to be through me, but an entire ecosystem of partners that is developing. But everyone is realizing that this is a good use case. This is not something that who wants to spend their time with three people? Things have changed. The way people are looking at it has changed. They are performing a very, very important job. When Amazon says that delivery is going to happen between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., it better reach there at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. When you look outside, it's likely going to be the case that earlier it used to be a four-wheel diesel vehicle that was there. Now it's likely going to be a three-wheel electric vehicle. It was never the use case for three-wheel vehicles. It was never. Three-wheel diesel vehicles were typically used for gas cylinder, water bottles, cement gara, or ad hoc things, and perhaps for garbage collection. Think about it yourself. They were never used for last mile delivery. It
Right.
was always a four-wheel small commercial vehicle that was doing it. Most three-wheelers being sold today are being used for last mile delivery, and I'm talking about 20,000 of these guys. A new use case was created. People find themselves feeling better at driving these vehicles. There are lots of targets that we've set for ourselves. I mean, the primary one, like I said, is going to be this. We are going to be creating newer formats of three-wheel vehicles. We will also move towards four wheels, but in the commercial vehicle segment. That's something. Once again, instead of trying to mimic a fossil fuel vehicle and say we create a diesel equivalent for that, what we are doing is looking at the changing landscape of deliveries. On the basis of that, on cargo and passenger movements, on the basis of that, creating something from an electric mindset perspective. Not from this is the way a diesel vehicle is made and hence I will make something like this. नहीं, जरूरत किस चीज की? क्योंकि हम तो नया बना रहे हैं. For us, it doesn't matter. I'm making something new. I can design it whichever way you want me to do, right? Why not build to a use case that is evolving and is going to be there in 26, 27, 28, 29? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Built for that, and that's something that we constantly do. It's a very long-drawn process, and I really thank my investors for believing in us. Because if they're not there, and I say that, boss, ये गाड़ी 4 साल में launch हो गई. 4 साल किसने देखा है, boss? Who knows what the hell is going to happen? They believed us, they trusted us, they backed us over the last 12 years, and they continue to do that. And that's why, I mean, you'll be very happy to know we have about 5,000 vehicles on the road. We're talking about April of 2024. 5,000 vehicles already on road that have done about 50 million kilometers. That milestone is going to happen on this Sunday or Monday, and we're going to announce it. 50 million
great! Congratulations.
Green kilometers. Which city are you based?
I'm based in Noida.
Noida, okay. Are you aware of something called Cubbon Park in Bangalore? Cubbon Park is one of those, like the central parks of New York. Cubbon Park is a huge park.
Yes.
The amount of CO2 that we've saved is equivalent to about 40 Cubbon Parks in terms of 3 years.
Wow.
40 Cubbon Parks. This is one Cubbon Park gifted to every polluted Indian city. Fact. So we have our self-targets of how we can clean things. We always measure things in that. गाड़ी तो बेचनी है boss. अच्छी गाड़ियाँ बेचनी, so that the confidence builds up. At the same time, we are cognizant on those kinds of things also. Are we adding that?
Right. Just one last thing, sir. So certification processes, can be quite daunting for startups, and you've had a lot of experience there. So can you elaborate on how Altigreen navigated through these processes, and what about the kind of improvements you believe could make these could streamline these processes and approvals for startups in the EV sector?
Yeah, I think, like I said, the change in the EV space happened very, very fast. It's almost like 120-year history of fossil fuel is today competing with 10-year history of EVs in our country. I mean, I don't mean 1999. I'm talking about when EVs really started becoming part of public thought. Think about it. 120 years, 10 years. We are already looking at, no, but sir, this is not there. What about the mining of this? Whatever. Yeah, you've been wearing your shoes for the last 100 years. Have you tried to find out what kind of sweatshops these are being made in? You continue to wear, hoga yaar, jahan hoga. Main to ye done. I'm saying that the scrutiny has already started happening. I think from a regulation perspective, there is a lot that is being done. Suddenly regulators also have to learn everything. They also have to do justice to doing everything. Automobile has a huge safety component. This is a piece of metal that is driving, that is running on a road at 53, 63, 100 kilometers an hour. It can cause grave damage if it's not built properly. Fires, you've heard of the fire incident, not just in India, across the globe. Fire incidents are there. So they have to make sure, doubly sure, that when they sign on that piece of paper, then everything is kosher, which means that first the standard has to be created. And you just can't copy the standard from some other country because India is unique. So by standard, we unique on operate. Sometimes they go overboard, and this has to happen. You always start by over designing something because you don't know how it's going to be used. So you over design something, and then over a period of time, over the next decade or so, you start shaving out things. No, if you do this, then automatically this will happen. So we can remove this. And yeah, if you've done that, then this, it will evolve. I have to commend them for a job great done because it's not easy, boss. Everyone spent a lifetime, 30 years in fossil fuel, and suddenly you are having to, educate yourself and be in a position of power to say, yes, you are right and you are wrong. Yeah. So they've also been very collaborative. They've been very, very collaborative. Some of these agencies have been able to come to this place today. A lot of them are doing better and better. I have a feeling that these processes will start getting streamlined. I think if we try to shortcut some of these to say that, no, let's remove this, let's remove that, I think it might be harmful for the entire industry. So we have to be just a little patient. I think we do lose our patience quite often because we say, yeah, I have been doing this for a decade. They haven't. I know, right? But I can't say, boss, trust me. Trust to throda chalta hai, he's signing. I think we just have to understand what's happening on the other side of the table, be cognizant of that, work with them, and then make sure that you are without compromising safety. I think that to me is the critical and the most important. Every time a fire happens in a scooter, people take one step back and they say, we'll make a decision of that EV, let them stabilize a little more. It's just, it is one of them. It could have happened for multitude of reasons having nothing to do with this. And it's not like fires don't happen in fossil fuel vehicles. You'll be surprised at the number of fires that happen in fossil fuel vehicles. That number is over 163,000 vehicles every year in the US alone. 1.6 lakh vehicles catch fire in the US alone. These are fossil fuel vehicles. So it's not that they don't. This is 120 years of work. But so I think it evolves, and I think we'll get better and better and more streamlined.
You're the most patient, entrepreneur I've met. So I'm glad, this conversation happened. So thank you, Dr. Saran. It was wonderful, having this talk and, to listening to our insights, and our congratulations for your upcoming milestone, and look forward to, connecting with you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.